In 2018, 39-year-old Eleni Godinho reported to police that she was being tracked. She reported that her messages had been monitored. It was clear that Eleni knew her stalker.
He had managed to get himself into a family WhatsApp group, so he knew exactly what she was doing and when she was doing it. It's more than possible that he was monitoring and tracking her to look for an opportunity to kill her.
And she said that he was threatening her, that he was going to kill her, and she was scared.
Her bias is, this man would never kill me in front of the children. I know this man.
But could this mother of three get the police to listen to her concerns? Or would a potential attacker get to her first? I'm Dermot Murnaghan, and this is Killer Britain. Eleni Cupertino Mendes was born on the 15th of June, 1979 in Brazil.
Eleni was the oldest of the four siblings living together in Brazil. And as both of their parents were often absent, particularly because of their father's problems with alcohol, that made Eleni, as the older sister, step into a role of almost like a mother.
Então ela como se fosse minha segunda mãe, vamos dizer assim. Sempre cuidava da gente, tanto de mim, quanto da minha irmã, quanto do meu outro irmão. Foi uma excelente pessoa na minha vida. Eu também cresci dentro de um ambiente de violência doméstica. Meu pai bebia, brigava com a minha mãe, batia na minha mãe. E a minha irmã estava sempre do nosso lado.
In 2001, aged 22, Eleni met 23-year-old Ricardo Godinho at work in Belo Horizonte, and before long, the couple started dating.
She was working at a clothing store in Brazil, and Ricardo was like a motor boy. Basically, he was picking up deliveries and distributing them from that same store.
It's clear that from the onset, Eleni was really hopeful about the relationship. She was one of those really optimistic individuals. She enjoyed life, and her vision for the future was a really positive one.
Things developed quickly. Young and apparently in love, they planned a future life together abroad.
They started looking elsewhere, and the fact that Ricardo found out that he had access to having an Italian passport, that obviously opened doors into Europe.
In September 2003, Eleni Mendes and Ricardo Godinho moved to the United Kingdom, claiming they were visiting on their honeymoon. But the couple did go on to get married, and Eleni changed her surname to Godinho.
Moving in from Brazil into the UK, I believe that Eleni and Ricardo were both looking for the same things like most immigrants look for when they move into a foreign country, which is better opportunities.
A primeira vez que ela saiu do Brasil para vir para o Reino Unido, ela decidiu vir justamente por causa da perspectiva de emprego. Ela e o então marido dela, o Ricardo, veio para poder arrumar trabalho e terem futuro melhor.
Eleni found employment in a hostel in central London, where she befriended another Brazilian, Vanessa Pesquetto Ferro.
Sempre preparada para tudo. Se você pedisse qualquer tipo de favor, ela sempre estava disposta. E quando eu a conheci, ela não tinha nenhum filho.
In 2005, half-Italian Ricardo Godinho travelled to Italy to secure his Italian citizenship and passport. This helped them secure their life in the UK. 2 years later, in 2007, the couple set up a business together.
Eleni and Vanessa decided to both start a small business in London where both of them would bake Brazilian treats.
Birthday cakes were a speciality. Eleni worked with her close friend, Vanessa.
Além de ser uma amiga assim dedicada a tudo que a gente precisasse, cozinhava maravilhosamente bem, uma super mãe, É complicado falar assim, que Às vezes, quando a gente perde uma pessoa querida, a gente fala assim, quando eu vejo tal coisa, eu lembro essa pessoa. Mas a Aline é uma pessoa que eu lembro o tempo todo, porque tudo ela fazia bem. Ela conseguia fazer uma simples comemoração. Às vezes, quando a gente fala assim, vamos fazer só um bolinho, ela ia conseguir enfeitar a mesa, fazia uma decoração assim, que tudo virava uma festa de verdade, sabe?
Later that year, the couple found out that they were expecting their first child.
And then she got pregnant and she was really, really happy. She said that she born to be a mom. She was very happy.
A princípio, quando eles tiveram o primeiro filho, não teve nenhuma mudança de comportamento, não. Eles, como casal, estavam super felizes, porque foi o primeiro filho deles.
E ela era apaixonada. Os filhos para ela era tudo na vida dela. Tudo que ela mais queria era simplesmente poder continuar a vida dela em paz com as crianças mesmo. Tudo que ela fazia era baseado para as crianças, era para as crianças mesmo. Era a paixão da vida dela.
In 2008, when their son was a year old, the couple returned to Brazil.
What I heard is that their first child need to have a little surgery, nothing very complicated. So that's what he said. He mentioned at that time that they were leaving. At first, it was supposed to only Aline go with the child, but then Ricardo decided that he wants to go as well. So they moved back to Brazil.
In Brazil, the couple ran a coffee shop. They had 2 more sons. This was where the first cracks in the couple's relationship started to show.
She was having problem with Ricardo. He was having problem with drugs. He wasn't doing really well, and she was afraid that something bad would happen to him.
E naquela época eles estavam numa fase difícil do relacionamento deles e eles achavam que mudar o ar, começar do zero, começar de novo num lugar diferente, que ajudaria bastante.
They broke up for a few days, and then Ricardo asked her if she could go back to him.
Aline accepted him back into the family home.
In spite of them having children together, there was violence pretty much from the get-go. So abuse did formulate part of their relationship from the early days. And unfortunately, it's one of those scenarios where a lot of women choose to stay because they think about the kids and the wider implications of leaving that relationship.
The matter of the fact is that during those times, Ricardo became quite abusive in his power over her, manipulating her emotionally, being verbally abusive, and just making sure that he had some sort of reach over Aline during that time.
It seemed Ricardo Godinho was not prepared for the relationship to end.
She would give him another chance if they came back to London. That's why they decided to come back. And I say, oh my God, I feel like my sister is coming back, live near me. I was really, really happy. They left in 2008, and then they came back in 2014. And they left with only one child, the first child. And when they came back, they have 3 boys, 3 beautiful boys.
The couple settled in the leafy suburb of Epsom in Surrey, 13.5 miles to the south of London, living with Aline's friend, Vanessa.
I think what would have attracted Aline and Ricardo to Epsom and this area is the strong Portuguese community, the fact that it's very, very close to London, so great links to that in terms of jobs, but also excellent schools, green spaces, somewhere really where if you're going to come and settle and have a family, it's just a fantastic place to do it and it provides opportunity to do it.
Logo que eles chegaram, eles foram direto para minha casa e realmente nos primeiros dias estava tudo muito feliz, que era um recomeço. O Ricardo começou a ir atrás de trabalho, coisa de uma semana depois, um pouquinho mais, ele conseguiu um trabalho. Mas ali em casa mesmo já começou a ter atritos entre o casal.
Aline's friend and now new housemate Vanessa could sense the growing conflict in Ricardo Godinho and Aline's relationship.
Numa das noites, quando nós estávamos já deitados para dormir, na verdade eu e meu marido a gente já estava dormindo, a gente escutou um chamado da Aline pelo nome do meu marido. Ela falou, Henrique. E eu levantei, acordei assustada e chamei meu marido. Falei, eu tive a impressão que a Aline chamou. E nós levantamos e fomos para a sala rapidamente. E no que nós entramos na sala, meu marido entrou primeiro e ela falou pro meu marido, falou, Henrique, ele tentou me enforcar. Ele estava vindo me enforcar. Aí aquilo assustou bastante a gente. E nós sentamos, conversamos muito.
We know that from the onset of the relationship that Godinho did have some concerns about Aline leaving him. And in fact, this represented itself acutely when he grabbed her by the throat.
To outsiders, their family seemed to be a success. Aline and Ricardo Godinho had settled in Epsom, and they both started successful businesses. But beneath the exterior, their relationship was under strain, and the conflict was about to get worse. Brazilian couple Aline and Ricardo Godinho had settled once more in the UK with their 3 young children. But it was becoming increasingly clear that Ricardo not only had a drug problem, but that he had become very volatile. And the relationship with Aline was taking the strain.
She told me like she wasn't in love with him anymore because like all the problem they had, she just wanted him to be good to their children. And, you know, I think he tried really hard, but people who take drugs, you know, one day they are very happy, another day they are very unhappy.
Things started escalating quite a lot. As their situation developed, unfortunately, into a very dire situation, Ricardo then became increasingly more controlling. Aline had indicated that Ricardo tried to strangle her, but then actually Aline was quick to retract what she had said and say, you know what, I think I got things confused in the heat of the moment. I was very nervous. And I think it was actually, as Ricardo was describing, I think he was just placing his hand over my mouth.
Forensic criminologist Professor Jane Monckton-Smith specialises in coercive control and stalking.
Women get into relationships with men like Ricardo Godinho because they don't know that they've got into a relationship with a man like him. It's very, very hidden, and perhaps they are giving that attention, one-on-one attention, sensitivity, flattery, perhaps that they're not seeing in their everyday life. And, you know, things go wrong very quickly with people like Ricardo. But you keep going back to that template you had in the beginning and thinking, actually, that's the real person. And it becomes more and more difficult to keep drawing that template back into the relationship. In fact, that wonderful person that you first met, the only time they come back into the relationship is when they've done something wrong and they're trying to win you back. And that's how they do it.
He would become very upset very easily over the smallest of things. She then became sort of the person that he would vent towards to and unleash the sort of the frustrations and the anger.
Despite the turbulent relationship, the couple welcomed their 4th child in 2016, a baby girl. Aline was a dedicated mother, but was also attempting to manage her turbulent and increasingly abusive relationship with husband Ricardo.
Aline was in a very, very difficult position. She's in a relationship with a man who's dangerous, and she knows he's dangerous. She's trapped financially. She's got 4 children. Her life is being threatened. We know that because she's been strangled. So for her, it's probably, right, keep everything nice and calm whilst I'm in the relationship until I find a point where I can leave it. And that's probably the safest thing for her to do.
Aline never shared with most of her friends and family because she seemed to be quite reserved. And to a degree, you know, some suggest that she was a little bit embarrassed of the situation as well, and also protective of her family too.
In October 2016, 48-year-old Godinho founded Godinho Maintenance, a company that quickly became successful. By January 2017, Eleni had joined the business to assist with paperwork and administration. In September 2018, Godinho received information suggesting that his business was £37,000 in profit. He claimed to not know this and became suspicious of his wife.
Seems to be a really critical moment, which is where Godinho accuses Eleni of not telling him that he's in profit with his company. Now, even though that seems like a strange connection that he makes, that somehow she's betraying him in that way, it does suggest that he's looking for an opportunity to become blameful towards her. So he's seeking out a desire to find her guilty of betrayal in some way, and he uses this to pinpoint that issue.
This is all about something called the loyalty code. Now, the loyalty code is a series of hidden tests that people like Godinho will bring into the relationship. And when he saw something in the company accounts that he felt that she had been disloyal about, hadn't told him about, she just failed the loyalty code. And that would have had repercussions, consequences.
Ricardo Godinho would later admit that after this incident, he decided he couldn't trust Eleni with his finances.
We went to their house to have like a lovely weekend as usual. And then suddenly she sat with another friend and she told me like they are getting divorced. That was really sad. I thought it wasn't true. But then she said to me that he that asked for a divorce. So it wasn't her.
Muitos amigos achavam que eles eram o retrato de uma família feliz, mas muitos não sabiam o que estava acontecendo dentro da família, dentro de quatro paredes, vamos dizer assim. Porque a gente acredita que ela estava sofrendo muito e escondia muito.
On the 16th of November 2018, the couple agreed to separate. But in an effort to continue to control the relationship, Ricardo Godinho informed Eleni that if they divorced, she would have to return to Brazil. He claimed she would not be able to live in the UK legally without him.
She is trapped. She is a prisoner in this relationship. She knows that, and she's probably waiting for her opportunity to get out, and he will know that she's looking for that opportunity.
Over Christmas 2018, the relationship reached boiling point. Eleni had had enough.
There was a turning point actually for Eleni, where she was like, I can no longer be in this relationship because it is not working for myself and the children. So there might have been a moment where everything clicked for her and it made sense to turn her back on Ricardo. This is where he actually fully snapped.
After Eleni decided to leave her husband, Ricardo Godinho, his behavior became increasingly controlling, psychologically abusive and coercive. Eleni contacted the police for the first time. She reported his violent behavior and that he'd attempted to kill her on 2 previous occasions. Sensing his wife's newfound confidence, Godinho began to panic. He asked Eleni to stay in the marriage and renew their vows. She refused.
And he actually ripped up her passport because he was so convinced that she was going to leave him. The fact that Godinho decides to destroy the Italian passports of his children, well, that makes perfect sense because he's putting an obstacle in the way of Eleni taking them away from him.
When she confronts him about leaving and taking the children with her, Ricardo's reaction was to say that he would denounce her, or turn her in, rather, to the Home Office, due to the fact that obviously they came in with a fake marriage certificate.
He's a very volatile person. He's a paranoid person. That makes him very dangerous. He is not going to accept the end of the relationship. He knows that, and she knows that.
She was really afraid of him because he was taking a lot of drugs, and she told me that one day she was locked in the bedroom like for one whole day and night because she was really scared of him. So she locked the door, and then she had to call a friend of her her husband to call Ricardo so he could get out the house, so she could give the children some food and drinks. And she was really scared.
He's willing to go to the extent of threatening, denouncing it to the Home Office, of wrecking the passports. And this was just like the tipping point, you know, because things that obviously became a lot worse, then it was clear for her that she had to do something about it. And that's when she eventually went to the police and made a formal complaint against her husband.
The next day, on the 27th of December 2018, Eleni Godinho left her house with her children and went to Epsom police station to make an allegation about domestic abuse against her husband. Eleni took her children and went to stay at a friend's house. The next morning, Ricardo Godinho attempted to enter the property where Eleni and the children were staying. Eleni called the police.
So she's actually taken a big step there, because she absolutely knows that he is capable of killing her.
At 8:50 a.m., Ricardo Godinho was arrested on suspicion of coercive and controlling behavior, threats to kill, common assault, and criminal damage. Eleni was assessed as high risk. She was relocated to an emergency safe house with her 4 children in Streatham.
Eleni was incredibly brave to get herself out of that situation. It's an incredibly difficult thing for anybody to do. I think especially for somebody that has moved here from Brazil, I don't think anybody can ever underestimate how hard that must have been for her to do.
The temporary accommodation was poorly equipped, but Eleni was pleased with it. Eleni's friends rallied around to help her.
Então a gente criou grupo no WhatsApp e foi aonde a gente começou a se organizar, juntar mutirão ali, cada doando um pouquinho, uma coisa ou outra que faltava, para poder dar um pouquinho de conforto para ela nessa nova etapa.
She and her friends developed this WhatsApp group that really worked as a support network for Eleni and her kids.
This was like a trigger for him, and he escalates in his attempts to control her. But now they're outside of the relationship. These attempts at control actually become what we call stalking.
Ricardo Godinho was released by the police on bail conditions. He was instructed not to contact Eleni directly or indirectly by any means, not to go to any address or location where he might reasonably expect Eleni to be, and any child contact to be arranged via child social services. But would he keep to any of these conditions? In December 2018, Ricardo Godinho had been told by police not to make contact with his wife, Eleni Godinho, or their children, following accusations of abusive behavior and coercive control. Godinho found a way to track his wife digitally.
Find My iPhone is a system that Apple has that allows you to locate your lost iPhone. When you first get your iPhone, you register it with Apple using what's called an iCloud account. So that ties your phone to your account. In the event that you lose your phone, you simply sign into your iCloud account, click on that I've lost my iPhone button, and Apple's servers will effectively talk to your iPhone. He would have logged into the Find My iPhone service and been able to see exactly where that iPhone was.
And that stalking behaviour is very much part of a dangerous perpetrator's profile, because it means that they feel a level of ownership and possession over the individual that they are trying to locate constantly.
Godinho was reading messages, reading emails, using the location identification services. It was obvious he was obsessed with everything about his ex-partner, where she was, what she was doing, who she was talking to.
Eleni thought she was safe in the temporary accommodation, but Ricardo Godinho knew exactly where she was.
Even though she's been taken to somewhere safe, he finds her and on 2 occasions turns up and tries to break in. And yes, he's arrested, but he's also giving her a very clear message. You know, you can run, but you really can't hide, I'll find you. And that is sinister.
His stalking, his need to understand where she was, who she was talking to, what she was doing. The only way it's possible is by using this technology.
He knew exactly what she was doing and when she was doing it. Now, at the time that he was doing this, the relationship's gone. It's never coming back. He can see that. So it's more than possible that he was monitoring and tracking her to look for an opportunity to kill her.
Ricardo Godinho found a way to access the WhatsApp group that Alini Godinho's friends had set up to support her.
Because he had access to an old SIM card that used to belong to Alini, and no one in that group ever noticed it. So for the longest time, I'm not entirely sure how long this went for, but for a long period, Ricardo was able to keep track of every single conversation, of every single move. And it was only up until the day that Ricardo decided to leave the group and they saw the stamp mark saying Alini has left the group, that it triggered the group to make the realization that he was there the whole time.
Despite breaking bail conditions numerous times, no further action was taken by police. Godinho's own family was so concerned about his behavior, they sent Alini text messages warning her of his violent threats.
Was somebody from his family who used to send her message saying that Ricardo said that he was going to kill her. So I told her, go to the police and show this message from this person. And then she said to me that she didn't want to cause any problem between him and this person of his family. She was really worried about the relationship between those people.
Ricardo Godinho's online activity during this critical time period illustrated his state of mind.
It was shown that Godinho had been using Google to search for how a Brazilian man had murdered his wife. It's very straightforward for us to recover information that's been deleted from a computer. The fact that he would have deleted these searches would have made no difference to our ability to recover them.
Ricardo Godinho's access to his children was strictly limited. He did not see them on his 41st birthday.
The social services have got involved with the family, meaning that he can only have access to the children under supervised conditions. He becomes obsessed with his children. Godinho feels that Alini is going to take them away from him. So this is a man completely transfixed on keeping ownership of what he feels is rightfully his.
The stress was having an impact on Alini. At the beginning of February 2019, Lucienne was concerned when she saw her friend.
She was very, very skinny. She told me she wasn't eating much. She was getting much sleep. And I was really sad for her. Like when I saw her, I didn't know it was like that. So then she explained, she started speaking to us, and she said that he was threatening her, that he was going to kill her, and she was scared.
It's exhausting living with somebody who is controlling you, monitoring you, tracking you, threatening you. And this had been going on for about 17 years for Alini.
And then I asked her, Alini, do you think Ricardo would do anything bad to you? And then she said to me, I think if I get him in the bad moment and I am alone without the children, he would do it. But if I am with one of the children, he wouldn't do it. So she believed that she was safe because of the children. So from that week, she took her little child, the girl, with her to school every day because she felt like protected, the little one was his favorite one, so she thought like he won't hurt her.
Não ter trocado as crianças de escola. Como ela estava numa residência temporária, ela não queria tirar as crianças daquela escola, colocar em outra e depois, de repente, mudar para uma outra área e ter que mudá-los de escola novamente. E então ela fazia esse trajeto de Londres, onde ela estava nessa casa, até a antiga escola das crianças, que era bem próxima onde ela morava com o Ricardo.
On the 8th of February 2019, Eleni realised Ricardo was using a different number and had access to her emails, WhatsApp messages and location. Eleni reported this to the police at 11:30 a.m. Her friends tried to persuade her not to wait, to go directly to the police that same day. She refused.
This idea, as far as Eleni is concerned, that somehow being with the children will protect her from being harmed by Godinho is a myth. So it doesn't make sense that she believes this, but her bias is, this man would never kill me in front of the children. I know this man.
In the afternoon, she started the school run. At 2:38 p.m, CCTV captured Eleni catching the bus from where she was staying in Streatham to Epsom, along with her 3-year-old daughter. Eleni got off the bus at 2:55 p.m.
We see Godinho using the Find My iPhone function to track his daughter's iPhone. He sees they're on the bus and he makes sure that he's there waiting for them when they get off.
"39-year-old Eleni was relying on being on the school run with a child to protect her from ex-husband Ricardo Godinho.
Eleni knew her life was in danger, and I think she was fully expecting that he would make an attempt on her life. It wouldn't have been the first time, after all. But she thought that he wouldn't do it in front of people. She thought that if she wasn't on her own, that she would be safe. So she thought at some level, if I'm out in public, as long as there are witnesses, he won't do it.
Godinho waits for Eleni on the school run. It's as simple as that. He sits there in wait for her.
He was absolutely fixated on the task. He had decided today is the day. No matter what happens, today is the day.
He sat waiting in his pickup truck, armed with a knife, in a nearby car park. Eleni and the child got off the bus just before 3 p.m, at which point Godinho drove out of the car park and mounted the grass verge alongside where they were walking. Godinho was spotted by his wife, who screamed and attempted to get away while holding her daughter's hand.
In spite of there being children, his own child being there, the mothers on the school run being present, he goes across to her and he stabs her.
Ricardo Godinho stabbed repeatedly, even as Eleni started to fall to the floor. He left her dying, dropped the murder weapon, and fled in his pickup truck. The 39-year-old mother of 4, Eleni, was pronounced dead at the scene.
We were watching TV or something when my phone rang. And then when I picked up the phone, a friend of us, he said, Eleni is just being killed, stabbed by Ricardo. I threw my telephone away and I started screaming. I never felt so bad in my life like that day.
I believe the day of the murder came in as a shock to most people when they found out about it. For a lot of them, there was a lot of things beneath the surface that people weren't aware, because Eleni was never the person to share those things with him.
She didn't have time to defend herself. She didn't have any marks on the arm or anything here. She didn't have time. It was really fast. And then what they said, that he stabbed her, and then she was falling down and he keeping stabbing her without saying anything. And then when he done that, he just looked at his little one and then he walked away.
When you think about how Godinho attacks Eleni, it's on the school run. It's in front of other parents. It's in front of his 3-year-old daughter. That is so symbolic of how fixated he was on ending her life. He doesn't care about witnesses. He doesn't care about the future.
As a mother, I guess You can imagine in her mind, like to be gone like that way and scared that something was happening with her little one. So this lady came and said to her, "Your baby's okay." So I hope she went on peace. It was really hard to see the news.
For Eleni's younger brother Alan, the news of his sister's death was devastating.
Presa, todo mundo ficou em choque. Inclusive, os testamentos da Aline falavam que ela estava segura, principalmente pelo fato que ela sempre estava com os filhos. Se ela tivesse com os filhos, ela acreditava que ele não faria nada de maldade com ela, mas ele simplesmente ignorou a presença da e fez o que fez.
This led him to a really dark place because he had just lost his sister to the hands of her partner, someone who was also the father of the children. So also there's this instant reaction of thinking, what does this mean for the 4 kids? You know, because they've just lost their mother and it seems like they're going to lose their father too.
It was a genuine sense of disbelief that this could have happened. This is a really peaceful, leafy suburb of London. I think that was compounded also by the fact that it had happened when Eleni was on the school run. She had her youngest child with her, and there were other parents and children present. I know people who were there with their children in their vehicles and witnessed it and were just shocked and upset by what happened.
Within minutes of the murder, Godinho admitted to stabbing his wife.
Now, once the murder took place, he dropped the knife and fled the scene. Apparently, he spoke to a good friend of his by the name of Ronaldo and confessed to his crime.
Godinho began to drive to a police station to surrender, but his vehicle was stopped and he was arrested around an hour and a half after the attack. On the 10th of February 2019, Godinho was charged with the murder of Eleni Godinho. During his 12-day trial at Guildford Crown Court, he pleaded not guilty to Eleni's murder, but guilty of manslaughter.
The fact that Godinho decides to plead not guilty to murder because he alleges that he was not in control of his faculties, that again shows a lack of being willing to take responsibility for his actions. He says, "It wasn't my fault. It was a heat of the moment thing. It was manslaughter. I was driven to it, essentially." But the problem with that is that manslaughter would show that there was no premeditation. The level of premeditation and the execution of the actual crime shows not only planning, but a huge amount of planning behind it.
Who's going to buy that story? You know, when a mother is killed holding the hand of her 3-year-old child, there's nothing he can say. Nothing he can say that's going to justify what he did.
And it's unsurprising and also incredibly positive that the jury sees straight through that, and rightfully so, he's convicted of murder.
Godinho was unanimously convicted of murder and possession of an offensive weapon in a public place. On the 18th of July 2019, Ricardo Godinho was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 27 years before being eligible for parole.
Quando foi proclamado no tribunal pela juíza, eu estava com amigos do lado. Os amigos do lado meu, os amigos do lado me traduziram para mim falando a sentença. Aí, depois que ela falou a sentença, eu fiquei muito aliviado com a tradução que o amigo do lado me deu. Chorei, inclusive, estava muito emocionado, tudo mais. E ele, do outro lado, não demonstrou nenhuma reação, como se nada tivesse acontecendo.
Eleni's death was met with sadness throughout her community in Epsom.
What has really impacted the community is that there were mums and children that saw what happened, and there are friends of the children, of Eleni's children, who are living with the impact of this, and also her friends and those people known to her.
She was like my little sister, but he was my friend. I'll never thought like he would do something this to her. Because Aline, she was like, I think she was not from this planet. She was so kind, so calm, so nice, full of grace, harmless. She was like this. She was like so sweet.
Aline's brother Alan moved his family to the UK to take care of his niece and nephews.
Ter bons momentos com a família, estar sempre do lado dos filhos, sempre nos momentos difíceis, alegres, sempre compartilhando todos os momentos que são bons. E ela me ensinou muitas coisas, muitas qualidades que ela tem, que eu tentarei passar isso aí para os filhos dela, para poder manter a memória dela sempre viva na cabeça dos filhos dela.
It's difficult to say or even imagine how life moves forward after an incident like this. And I do feel like there's obviously quite a lot, but their choice has been to focus on the positive and the good memories that they have of Aline.
In February 2018, an inquest began into the death of Aline Godinho. It concluded on the 25th of February. Ricardo Godinho refused to attend the inquest via video link from HMP Woodhill in Milton Keynes. Well, I have one of the inquest documents here. It denotes multiple missed opportunities by police to save Aline's life. The coroner listed multiple failings, including failing to respond to reports of escalating conduct from Mrs. Godinho's ex-husband in the days before her death, failing to recognise that she should have remained high risk and not following domestic abuse procedures. In a statement from Surrey Police, they said, "We welcome today's conclusion and accept the findings that there are areas of improvement for us as an organisation." The report to prevent future deaths from the coroner laid out 5 concerns that were required to be addressed. Now, these included better training, monitoring and supervision, as well as cultural training. A death that had the potential to be prevented, and although it will be no solace for Aline's family, changes have been implemented to try to prevent a tragedy like this from happening again.